Well, would you like to introduce yourself first for our podcast?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
I guess, okay. I go by Joe. My name's Jasmine, but I recently started going by Joe because I like it better, so.
Valid.
I've never felt like Jasmine suits me. I don't know why. I like short names. I feel like they're more powerful. Anyways, getting off topic. I was on the parlay for the second edition. And I did the poetry department with Bradley. And I had a lot of writing pieces published in the last one, but I didn't have any to submit for this one, so I just did photography. My photo was the cover for the last edition, and then I have one that's being published this time, so that's why I'm here.
Slay.
Yeah.
Should we introduce ourselves?
You go first.
Okay. My name is Jane. I was a part of the magazine last year for the second edition, as well as the third edition. I'm part of the visual media group. I was originally part of the creative prose group, and I decided to switch it up this year. So, yeah.
My name is Dean. I was also part of the parlay for Volume 2 and now for Volume 3. I am part of visual media and web design.
Oh, I forgot I'm also there for that one. Okay. Do you want to show the pic and we can discuss?
Now, we love this picture. Lady in
thank you.
Oxford.
Thank you so much. So I went on my Birthright Israel trip in December, which I've been trying to go on since I was like 18, but then the pandemic happened, they closed their borders, and the timing was never right because I was either working or going to school or both. So the timing finally worked out, and I was able to go to England for about a week after my trip.
Nice.
To Israel. So I went from Israel to England. I stayed with some family friends. And yeah, they took me to Oxford. My best friend who lives in England, his dad went to Oxford. So we were able to kind of go into parts of the school that aren't open to the public. And we were able to get into where they filmed the Great Hall scene in Harry Potter, which normally you have to pay for. So that was cool.
Nice.
And I had my film camera as well as my regular camera. I look like a pack mule is what they were calling me. But I just saw this lady walking in front of us with this yellow jacket on, and it really stood out to me kind of against like the dark old buildings, and I thought it was a good shot.
Nice. We agree.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think that's why we liked it so much. A lot of the photos that we got were like colorful and bright, and there's nothing wrong with that, but your photo like stood out because it was dark, and then there was that one thing that was colorful and bright, you know?
Yeah, I like when people even take a photo and like do black and white except for one object in the photo. I mean, sometimes I think it can look cheesy, but I think if it's done right, it's really cool. But this just happened to naturally be the way it was, and I know that I'm lucky that I got to travel, because a lot of the times I'm complaining about, I'm like, oh, there's not really anything to take pictures of here, which is like, if you're a photographer, you're supposed to just find the beauty in everyday things, but I always was really just wanting to travel and be able to get all those cool shots. I mean, we don't have buildings like that really here. Like, we just don't. The architect, I mean, it's so old. Maybe, I don't know, maybe like Boston, but like maybe that's like the closest you could get. But this is my first time out of the country, so I was really excited about that.
Nice. Well, I definitely think you were able to capture like nothing or something out of whatever, what you said basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it makes me happy to hear that the like yellow shirt person was intentional, because we were like, this is so good. Like, it could be random, but
yeah, she didn't know I was taking a picture of her at all. I've learned in journalism that if you're in a public space, you're kind of just allowed to take pictures of anything. And sometimes it can be weird, but luckily she wasn't like looking at me, so I was able to get that sneaky little shot in. I actually have one that I took on my film camera also, I think. And it looks cooler, but I don't really know I don't know if we should submit. I thought about it. I was like, maybe I'll submit like the film photos I got, but I wasn't sure if the quality was up to snuff.
That's fair. Hey,
Yeah.
This is still great.
Thank you.
What made you want to get into photography?
Well, ever since I was little, my mom said that I always had an eye for photography, and I was always wanting to take pictures of things, and I just always, I guess, sort of had like a knack for it. I was always drawn to it, and then when I found out that people could make money from it, I was like, wow, so I can do something I just love doing anyways and make money. I mean, I haven't yet, but I would love to, which is why I'm studying photojournalism. And I always say that if I had been in high school or middle school when like camcorders were popular, I would have been like Gordo and Lizzie McGuire, just like going around like filming everybody all the time. It's definitely my thing. I like film photography a lot, but I did recently get a nice camera, and that's what I was able to take on my trip. I think I borrowed a lens from work. I work at a camera shop.
Nice.
So I'm pretty sure I took like, I think that was with the 50 millimeter prime lens, which is you can actually zoom in or out, so you just have to kind of take it at what it is. But I like that kind of lens because it makes you feel like what you're looking at you're actually taking a picture of. I don't know if that makes sense, but like it looks like where your eye line is type thing. So that's what I used for that. But yeah, I've always wanted to do photography, and I just got into the San Francisco State journalism program for
Congratulations.
Thank you. I guess there were 2 you could apply to. It was photojournalism and print and online. And I chose print and online just because I felt like it was a little more lucrative in terms of career. And that's where everything is now, is like all the magazines are online and all the newspapers are online. So yeah, if I don't get into UC, that's where I'm going in the fall.
Yeah. Nice.
For that.
Yay.
Yeah. So I'm pretty excited about that. I don't know what time it was pretty gloomy that day. I'm trying to think of like around the time it was. I don't know. It's hard to say. We kind of left in the morning and we were there all day, so it'd be hard to pinpoint a time. But it was very cloudy, for sure. They said it was grim, but I loved it. So grim is my kind of weather.
Do you have like a story at all that goes along with the picture? Something you possibly make up? Because I know you write as well. So.
I do write as well. That's true. Well, I think Oxford is pretty small. The school itself is, I think, 35 different like campuses.
Wow.
Like it's spread out. Like a lot of people don't know that, but it's not just like one campus. It has a bunch of different. It's like the school of science and the school of this. So they're kind of spread out like that. And they're all varying degrees of old. But this was, when you're walking through it, they're kind of just like a lot of back streets and side streets. And I can't remember, we could have been on our way to the Great Hall part of the school, which is at King's College, or it could have been on the way, they have like an outside market as well as an inside market. So they have like a covered market and one that's outside too. So it was definitely on a weekend, but I think that's what we were doing when I took this picture.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you. I've never been on a podcast before. So
Hey man, me neither. So.
Okay. Hey,
Can you tell we haven't?
Let me see if I can. I'm gonna be fancy and pull up these pictures. Not that anyone can see them, but
Yeah, it's okay.
I hear people talk on podcasts and I enjoy it. So
Exactly. We can talk, you know.
yeah.
Hell man, you already covered most of this.
I know. I don't even know who the person is. I feel bad, but I kind of just was like, sorry, you're in the perfect place at the perfect
Yeah,
time.
seriously.
Okay, so I did get it on my film camera. So there it is on the film camera.
That's really pretty.
Which is cool because I was using black and white film and like you don't know what it's gonna look like when you take it, but I liked it so much I wanted to get it on both. Those are my friends that I was with who
Wow,
were
those are really pretty.
giving me the tour, which I think it's so cute. See his little puffer jacket. Here's another Oxford building. We don't know what it was called.
That's okay. We don't
But
need
there
to know.
you go. And then here was so they have this covered market, and it has like it has Alice in Wonderland like light things hanging from the ceiling.
cute.
So they've got like teapots
pretty.
and the Cheshire Cat.
That's cute.
It's really, really pretty. But that was probably, besides Brighton, I would say that was my favorite part of the trip.
Yeah, I like
Oxford
the
is very
feature show.
hippie.
Sorry.
Thank you. No, it's okay. Oxford is just a lot more kind of like bohemian than I expected. I expected it to be like very posh and like people that go to Oxford, you know what I mean? But it was the market they had a lot of like flowy skirts and crystals, and it just felt very like bohemian. It was cool.
That's cool.
Were you gonna say something?
Oh yeah, I like the photos that you showed because it like
Thank you.
it reminds me of like old films, but then you see like the contrast
Right?
between like someone having like a puffer jacket,
Yeah.
Right?
and all of a sudden you're like in a modern world.
I love that. I don't think I'd be able to go anywhere without my film camera. I love it so much.
Yeah, even the film camera pictures, like the one that you took of this same shot, it's like tells like a completely different story.
I know. I actually borrowed my friend's film camera for that one. My friend who lives in England, and then he had to develop them and send them over to me digitally. But the one that I brought with me for my birthright trip just wasn't working. And I was like, that's great, because I just bought film and batteries for this, and it's not working. So he's like, oh, you can use mine. So I'm not I think his was a Nikon, if I'm remembering correctly. But I did have the film for it, and then I was able to use that. So I'm really lucky that I even had the opportunity to do that, because then it would have just been wasted. But you have to hand check those at the airport, because if they go through the machine, it could ruin the film. So just a fun fact.
Little tip.
If you go through an airport, hand check your film.
Did you edit any of your photos, or did you keep it like natural?
I don't think I've gotten in the habit of, at work I've learned like how to edit a lot with Photoshop and Lightroom and stuff, because that's what we do all day is develop old pictures. And for my photojournalism class, they've kind of not prohibited, but he kind of discourages editing photos, just for now at least. But I already know how, so it's also kind of hard for me to to get myself not to. But I might have messed a little bit with the lighting, or either the brightness or the exposure, but nothing like crazy. It's not like I didn't like filter it or anything like that. Like that's pretty much just a natural. Yeah, I AI'd it. Yeah, no, it's pretty much what it was. I don't even think I sharpened this one. I think if I were to print it, I would do a little bit more, just because if I'm blowing it up, it's going to lose a lot of the quality. But this is pretty much the raw file.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah.
Yeah, it looks very natural, I guess, and raw, you know?
Yeah. I submitted a lot of photos, but this was the only one that got in. It's fine. I'm fine. Just kidding. I didn't know if there were like more that were maybe going to go on the website, because I know that last time we put a lot on the website, but I am happy that one of them got in, and I did get the cover last semester, so, you know.
I guess that's enough.
I guess it's fine. But yeah.
Did you find it hard trying to find like the perfect photo when you were going on your birthright trip, or was it a little stressful trying to find like a good subject to take a picture of?
I'm just kind of snapping away all the time. I mean, I just love taking pictures so much that I'm always kind of like, I'm pretty sure the camera was on my face more than anything else. But I got a lot of my pictures in Israel ended up being blurry, which kind of sucks, because I still think that they're gorgeous, but like I don't know why they came out blurrier. I don't know if it was like focusing on the lighting weird or something like that. But as far as England goes, I feel like it was really easy just to get a lot of naturally really pretty pictures, because just like how in San Francisco, I feel like every time I'm there, I just get great photos no matter what. Like I don't even have to try. Like the lighting's always just perfect. And I feel like that's how it was for England too.
Nice. Do you like want? Well, when you're taking photos, I know you say you have the camera on your face all the time, but do you like try to look for photos that tell a story? You just like, this looks pretty, and like you want to take that, and like maybe not that everything needs to tell a story, but
yeah, I mean it's a little bit of both. I know that in my bio that we're going to have under the picture, I mentioned that my favorite things are human interest pieces. I'm really into candids, and I feel like I'm good at candids, which I feel like is a skill, because not a lot of people are. So I'm glad that I feel like there's like a market that might be good for. But I'd say I'm really good at candids, and I really like just like human interest pieces, kind of focused on like people in their natural habitats just doing what they're doing and getting those. That's kind of what I'm into. So I do think about that sometimes, but for the most part, it's kind of just like what I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they all come out so damn beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, obviously, if I see something that's like specifically, like I said, I like to get people like street photography. I'm also really into. So, in terms of like for writing, I would say that it's a little bit different. I really like op-eds and that kind of thing. But in terms of photography, it's mostly. What was the other one I just said? I said human interest and
Street
photography. I really I keep forgetting what they're called, and I'm so mad because I just learned the term for them in my class. But they're the old cameras where you look down into it and it takes the picture like out. Apparently those are really good for street photography, and I want to get my hands on one of those bad boys for sure. But yeah.
Cool.
What's your favorite place that you've ever like taken a photo?
Ooh. That's a good question. I'd say San Francisco, because like I said, I always get the prettiest pictures there without even really needing to try. It's just perfect, but I'm biased. And then when I have the privilege to go to Disneyland, I like to take the pictures of things that people aren't usually taking pictures of in the park, like kind of really focusing on the architecture and kind of like the hidden, like all the windows, and there's a lot of detail in the buildings there that I feel like if you're just like running through the park to ride rides and stuff, you're not really noticing. So I like to get kind of the more like subtle parts of the park. I think those come out really nice. Yeah. Really I would have submitted the ones from Israel, but they just came out so blurry, and I don't know what happened. I'll show you. Boo, I know, seriously.
Also, really quick, I don't know if this light's supposed to be blinking the entire time or something, because it started blinking and then it stopped, and I was like, please tell me it's like been recording this entire time.
I think it is.
It'd be really funny if it wasn't.
It's still counting down.
Oh, okay. I didn't even see it. Okay. Guys, we're good.
See, like, it's pretty, but it's kind of blurry.
Yeah.
That one is really pretty.
See what I mean,
I think you submitted some of those, right?
Yeah.
I think I did. I think I submitted the ones that were less blurry. But like that's pretty blurry.
Yeah.
But it's still so cute.
I remember looking at
I don't know what to do.
We were going at it, but then we kept looking like closer to the pictures.
Really? Yeah. Oh, because you saw that it was kind of blurry?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's like a way for me to... I was going to look up if there was like a way for me to kind of like help fix the blur a little bit. Like if there's a way to sharpen it. Not even for the magazine, but just for my own sake, because I was like, my pictures.
They are beautiful pictures, man.
Thank you. I know. That was... I like to have a good mix of kind of like not being on my phone or camera too much and not enjoying what I'm doing, and also being able to take... Because I always feel like I never take enough pictures. Like I'm always like, I still wish I would have taken more pictures. But I'd say that I'm starting to find a good balance between kind of like enjoying the moment and living in the moment and taking photos. So I hate when people are like, like put the camera down. You're not like, and I'm like, but I am. I'm capturing like, I'm taking in everything right now.
Yeah. This is part of my life.
Yeah. And when I was in England for the most of the trip, I was alone, which is a little bit.
This is scary.
A little scary.
Yeah.
But especially as a woman.
Yeah.
But first time out of the country. For the most part, I was alone because I ended up getting COVID during birthright.
Oh, no.
And I had to quarantine in Israel for 7 days under the law. I couldn't leave my hotel room. I know this sounds like such first world problem. I was like, you got to stay in a hotel for free. But like being alone without your family sick in another country, it was a little bit scary. And they, we asked, because they're like COVID coordinators for the trip. Obviously, if you get it through birthright and you report it, you don't have to report it. But I was like, I'm not getting on a plane with hundreds of other people and risking getting other people sick, and then going to my friend's house with his family and getting them all sick? Like, no way. So I reported it, and part of me almost wishes I hadn't, because it was just so rough, man. And like, I was like, so if we leave our hotel room to go on a walk to get fresh air, what happens? Because even when I'm home and I get it, like, I want to at least get outside, like not be around people, but like get outside because I'm a human being who needs like air and like sunshine. And they were like, you could be arrested.
Oh my God.
I was like, oh, that's a little bit, a little intense.
Yeah,
so that happened. And then I didn't think I'd get to go to England because everything got pushed back and like the tickets and everything. I'd already had a plane ticket. And, you know, being a college student, like I basically used all my resources to even be able to make that happen in the first place. So I was really happy that I figured it out and I was able to go. But it definitely like kind of pushed everything back. And then my friend was doing finals. So he wasn't able to like go with me anywhere, give me a tour or anything. So I kind of was just like... They helped me a lot. I mean, they put money on an Oyster card for me, which is like the public transit thing, which was so sweet. And they like outlined the map for me, like the tube map, and told me like the quickest way to get where I wanted to go and helped with my itinerary. Like they were so sweet. But I basically was by myself and
giving yourself
this was the only day that I had people to like walk around with. And I also feel like I always dreamed of traveling alone, and there are some parts of it that are like very cathartic and you know, kind of like freeing. Like you can just do whatever you want when you want to, and that's cool. But part of it was very lonely. Yeah. You know, just because you're like, you don't have anyone to be like, oh my gosh, did you see that guy over there? Like he's being so crazy. Like you're just kind of by yourself. So that's why I like Brighton so much, because when I went to Brighton, there are a lot of like young, cool people in Brighton. It's like a little coastal town. And I like talked to this girl at this shop where I got food, and then I went to this coffee shop and I talked to the guy there who was from like, his parents were from different countries, but he lived in Brighton, so he had like a mix of like 3 different accents. And like, and then I met these strippers on the train back from Brighton, and they braided my hair. Aww, they're like super nice. So nice. And they're like, if you ever want to like come like live here, like I know someone who could like hire you at a preschool, because I told her I like to work at preschools and stuff. And she was like, I know someone you can nanny for. I was like, what the heck? Thank you so much. So like, so nice. That was really cool. But yeah, I had a lot of time to take pictures and stuff, but I felt like I was mostly just kind of like running around from one spot to the next, kind of trying to, because even with how much I pared down my itinerary, it still was too much. Like, it's so much bigger than I would have ever expected. And I could have spent one full day at the Natural History Museum, and I squeezed that into a day with like 5 other things. So I'm like running through the museum. I like take a couple pictures and leave. That was basically the whole trip. I mean, it was still great, but I could have done a lot less even then with what I had. So, but yeah. That was my adventure.
Israel and in England. I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off, dude.
No, it's okay. That was the end of that sentence. Jeez, so, I was in Israel for 10 days. Well, birthright was 10 days. And then I was quarantined for 7. And then I was in England for 5, I think.
Wow, you really like sped run.
Yeah, seriously.
I did. No, and because of birthright, they'll pay for you to come back to the United States, even if you extend your trip, but you still have to leave from Israel. So I had to go from Israel to England, back to Israel to come back home. Like I had to like still fly back from England. And I actually flew back on my birthday. So I left on my birthday. I went from England to Israel the same day. So like 5-hour flight there. Then I had to go to my friend's house to get my suitcase, because I left my big suitcase with her so I wouldn't have to pay for luggage. And so I had to like take a bus, like 3 buses to her apartment. My charger got stuck in the elevator and it broke. My only phone charger, so my phone's like dying. In Israel, it's way harder to get around than in England, because at least there's English. So, like, most of the signs and stuff in Israel for the bus stops and everything, they're all in Hebrew. So you're just like, what?
Confused.
Yeah, and, like, your phone's dead and you're alone. You're like, I don't know what's going on. So then I couldn't find the bus stop I needed to take to get back to the airport. And I happened to run into this, like, random old lady on the side of the road, and she, like, was able to kind of speak to me, and she was like, oh, you need taxi? And I was like, yeah, I guess I need a taxi. So she calls this guy, and I like don't even know who this person is, or like if I could trust them or not. And she's like, okay, he's coming. I was like, okay. And like it doesn't have my phone number or anything. She like walks away. It ended up costing $100 in cash.
Oh my god.
For me to take like a 20-minute taxi ride.
Oh my gosh.
But I basically, so I left on my birthday, and I got here on my birthday because it's what's the time difference? It's like a 15-hour flight, and then there's also a time difference.
Yeah. So you got an extended birthday.
I got here on the morning of my birthday, and then I basically just like slept because because the jet lag was brutal.
And it sounded stressful.
Yeah, it was so. I didn't know that jet lag did other things besides tired. I always thought people were just being whiny. I was like, okay, like you're tired, so what? But it turns out that someone calling someone. Do you hear that, or am I crazy? Okay, I was like, that's okay.
I didn't even hear that.
I have really good hearing. I think it's to make up for my eyesight, like a bat. My eyesight's so bad that I have great hearing. But yeah, basically, I didn't know that like jet lag did all those things to your body because you feel like you're on drugs. Like it's the weirdest feeling in the whole world. Like my body was like hurting. I felt like I was. You know when you feel kind of like you're in a bubble? I don't know if that makes sense. Like, it just didn't feel like the world was, like, real. But, yeah, you asked me the question, and it started a whole conversation, which is great, but I don't remember what the initial question was.
Oh, just, like, how long were you in Israel?
Yes. So I ended up being there for, like, it was the day after Christmas through my birthday, which is January 16th, so.
Should.
Yeah, it turned into a lot bigger of a thing than I thought, and I wasn't getting paid while I was gone.
Oh.
So, can imagine how fun that is to figure out. That's something they don't tell you about traveling when you're a grown-up.
Yeah.
I didn't think about, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't think about the logistics of okay, I'm not going to be working for like 3 weeks. Yeah, but I'm not getting paid. It's fine.
By breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah. So, Birthright... Because it's a free trip, but nothing is actually free, right?
Real quick, what is a birthright trip?
Oh, yeah, I should probably explain that.
Yeah, you sounded like you knew, and I was like, yeah, I know too.
Oh, you're like nodding? You're like, yeah.
I thought I'd get like more content.
Like, I get it. Birthright is a free, in quotations, 10-day trip for Jewish people. Provided by, I guess it would technically be like the state of Israel. I don't know, but there are like lots of different like organizations for it, and then obviously like people that donate. And there are different like trip organizers, so you can like kind of choose like sort of if you're more into like outdoors, that kind of thing. Huh. And then it depends on who you get. Obviously, it makes the obviously it makes the trip different depending on who you get. I didn't get the best leaders, which really sucked, but it's builds character, I guess. It's fine. But a lot of my friends had a great time on it, and my uncles both went, and my mom didn't get to go, so I'm the only person in my family or woman who's gotten to go to Israel, which like I don't know, I felt emotional about that for some reason. I'm like, I'm the only one. But yeah, some people think it's kind of to try and like convince people to like move to Israel and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of controversy around that, but something that my friends and I talked about, because I had one of my close friends who's a little bit more privileged, you know, a little more, you know, kind of grew up with money and was able to kind of travel, and that's great. But he was encouraging me not to go based on principle. He was like, you know, like there's a lot of stuff around this, and like I don't really agree with like what Birthright's about and all this stuff. And I was like, dude, I don't have money to travel at all. I've never left the country. Like this could be the only opportunity for me to do something like this. And I was like, I want to care. Like, I want there to be peace between Palestine and Israel. But, like, to be honest, I don't have enough, like, knowledge about it to have an opinion. Yeah. And therefore, I was like, I feel like to care about these kinds of things like that, you kind of have to, like, have money to care. You know what I mean? Because it's like, if I had all the money in the world and I didn't have to worry about how I would ever get to travel anywhere, I would just go on my own accord.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, if it was based on principle, I'd be like, sure, like I'll just go to Israel by myself. That's like, that's great because I do care about causes and that kind of thing. But like I said, I don't really know much about it. So for me, it was just like, this might be the only opportunity I have to do this. And it's mostly all expenses paid. And like, I want to go see where my ancestors came from, you know? Yeah. So, and in my mind, it was, I didn't know when else I'd be able to do that. So it's essentially free, but they buy you breakfast and dinner every day. They pay for breakfast and dinner, and then you have to pay for lunch just because you're usually out and about. So we paid for lunch, and then they, you know, you stay in different places, kind of like, I'd say they're like more of the equivalent of motels or hostels than like nice hotels. I'd say we stayed in like one nice hotel, and that's the one I got quarantined in. So beat the system, but other than that, it was really fast paced. I know everyone has different experiences, but like it was like early mornings, late nights, just like boom, boom, boom every day. We were like basically in a new city in Israel every day. So yeah. That's pretty wild. Yeah. But yeah, that's what birthright is.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's a very valid reason to take a million pictures. I don't know. Yeah, I think people who are like, God, live in the moment. Like, I think that's stupid because it's like you got this opportunity, and it's like I'd like to look back and remember it. You know, and
exactly. And I love photos, so
exactly. I that's a hobby of yours. You know.
And I miss printed pictures too. I mean, like I know that it's really convenient that we, you know, have like digital format, and I'm like really happy for that. But I spend every day at work basically like developing people's pictures or digitizing them, you know, from physical form to online so that they can always have them, which I think is great. But I love seeing people's old pictures, and people used to take pictures of everything. Like before cell phones, you know, like everything their kids were doing, like what their dinner table looked like, and I'm obsessed with that shit. So to be honest. But yeah, I'd say that went pretty good.
Slay.
Rock on. Anything else? Any last words or anything? You know,
your lasting impact.
I would have joined again this semester if I hadn't been taking 7 classes. So I thought
valid.
I like that. I missed it. I thought it was really great and fun working on it, and I would have wanted to do it again, but with how many classes I knew I had to take, it just wasn't even
very understandable
an option. So
no worries.
But yeah, I miss you guys, and I'm gonna transfer in the fall. So
this
is this might be my last time ever on this campus.
Shit,
no.
Which is like kind of crazy.
Emotional, but also congratulations. You know,
after 7 years of putting myself through college, this might be the last time I ever sit in one of these rooms. So.
It's a bittersweet clap.
It's a bittersweet clap. Thank you guys for taking the time to interview me. And
of course,
I'm getting practice for my own podcast.
There you go. Take some pictures of the equipment.
I'm gonna do a plug without but also like TM. The podcast that I am working on making is going to be called Insufferable Suffragette.
Ooh,
and it's going to be about powerful women throughout history that I don't feel get talked about enough.
I like it.
And I have a mic, but I probably need a Zoom. Yeah. But I want to get like the rights to the name so that nobody can take it. But I guess to make a podcast on Spotify, you have to actually like have an audio clip and submit it first. You know? And I've thought about doing like some janky little like like little clip really quick to just like do it and get it done with. But then I was like, no, I have to like actually do the thing. Yeah. So, but yeah, look out for it.
Hell yeah.
It's coming up.
It's exciting.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining our amazing podcast today. You know,
it was so good to see you again.
It was great talking to you guys. Yeah. Thanks. I'm going to go pee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Over